WP, you are considered weak because of your low power rating, but no one realizes that the device only measures elemental magic power. Magic, power over reality, yet only a fraction of that concept to those who wielded it. It changed the world when it appeared, turning areas of land and sea into monstrous habitats. Space expanded within, allowing far more to thrive in an area than logically possible. Certain people were affected by magic, changed on a level deeper than physical. It allowed them to perform impossible feats, swinging weapons too heavy for normal use, creating never-before-seen items, and most famously cast spells. They caudal venture into these spaces, culling the ever-growing hordes of monsters. It was dangerous but lucrative work. Anyone with even a smidge of power would be hired, but for those weaker people, it would often prove deadly. Backslush, just die already, I hissed, stabbing at the Shade Prowler. It was hardly my kill, but I would take the credit. It had already savaged the body of the hunter who had trapped it, though it seemed he gave as good as he got. 2 spikes impaled its torso, letting shadowy ichor drip out. It evaporated before it could hit the ground, giving it a ghostly appearance. They were primarily ambush predators, much like a panther, though they could slip between shadows. Stronger ones could even manipulate such things to attack with, making them lethal at night. I assumed this one had been, hanging on as much as it could, but it was on its last legs. My knife was little more than a sliver of stone. Practically the extent of my power, my magic refusing to anything more than a trickle come out to perform spells. I was weak, with only a small attunement to the elements. It was theorized more magics existed, but the elements were the only known ones, the ones decades of research had managed to work out the details of. I used my stone dagger, stabbing at the Shade Prowler. It could barely do more than hiss, flailing weakly. It even weakened as it was, my dagger still broke, unable to break through its hide. My fist carried forwards, the magic fading. Fingers brushed against its surprisingly soft fur, and I felt it, a touch in my mind. One of fear and pain. Something my magic rushed towards, slamming to a halt just before. The Prowler stared at me, eyes clouded. Yet deep within, somehow I recognized a glimmer of hope and acceptance. Its head, larger than my own, nudged my hand. With that, whatever stopped my power vanished. It cascaded out, a rush I had never felt before. The Prowler was bathed in turquoise light before vanishing into a cloud of mist that same color. Mist that suddenly flowed back into me, giving me a momentary intense headache. It vanished as soon as it came, my mind feeling different. Expanded in a way, but not for thoughts. Within, I could sense the Prowler. A connection like suddenly being aware of the shirt on my chest. On a whim, I pulled on it, and I felt the small power I had left surge out. The same mist from before shimmered out. It took barely a second, going from nebulous cloud to the same Shade Prowler, though now healed. It looked up at me, easily the size of a wolf, yet I could feel the connection. I had saved it by it somehow agreeing to work with me. It wasn't tamed from what I could feel, but it would obey within reason. It wasn't anything like the magic I knew of, but it was clearly something new. And if I had to choose from the theorized bands of magic, I would call this summoning. Yet it raised only more questions. Could this be repeated? If so, how many could I get? Was there a limit? What made this work? What exactly would it let me do? And how big if a target would it leave on my back? After all, by taking it, I didn't get a body to trade in. This could be seen as stealing from the guild. So many questions, so many worries, but that would be a problem for future me. For now, I was happy to be alone with my new summon.